What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr War Games, bringing you the extra spicy spice. So massive shout out to Mitchell Thornton, who actually got top 32 at UK Nats with super heavy Swordsoul. Yep, you heard that right. Now I'm going to put on screen pictures of his original deck list and the stand-ins from Nationals, so you can kind of see where he placed and what he played. Now obviously the Banlist has changed the deck. So I've been talking back and forth with Mitchell, trying to kind of adapt the deck to the new Banlist to see how it can operate. And my God, it can still do some incredibly crazy things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this updated profile. Again, shout out to Mitchell. And then at the end, I'll show you the one card combo that involves super heavies and how you adapt it to utilize the Swordsoul engine as well. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. If you want to see a test stand video for this deck, then make sure you get the video above 50 likes in the first 24 hours and I will bring that for you. So for the Swordsoul, we've got triple Ecclesia alongside triple Moyi. Now this is all pretty standard, alongside triple Long One, double Tire, triple Emergence, and the one Blackout. Now before I move on to the Super Heavy Samurai, obviously there's going to be a lot of questions of how does this even work? Well, yes, you are losing a lot of worms. Like when you're not playing Tenyis, you pretty much cut your deck in half for your worm targets. However, what the Super Heavy Samurais provide is they provide the ability in order to kind of get into early doors of a Yugioh, and that can then get you the missing piece that you might need. Another thing as well is you hold back. These are the only spells and traps you play in the deck. Keeping in mind that your Tire can actually banish these from the graveyard so that your Super Heavy Samurais are then back online. So I can kind of understand the synergy between this. You never want to activate Emergence and then start trying to do Super Heavy Samurai plays. You want to do all of your Super Heavy Samurai plays first, and then you use your Swordsouls as the secondary in order to kind of add to the board level 10s, additional burn damage, you name it, it's your secondary powerhouse play. I did ask Mitchell, you know, surely the lack of worms were an issue, and he said no, not really, because ultimately the way it worked is that if you don't have a reveal or a banish, you use 2 level 4s, one tuner and one other one from the Super Heavy Samurai engine to get you into the rest of the Swordsouls. So that's how you get into your Yugiohs, that's how you get into your Sovereigns, your Quinlongs, everything like that. So they kind of synergize really nicely. Unfortunately, he did lose, I believe it is in the top 32 matchup. He just said that he saw Driver way too much. He was originally playing the Gamma engine. He said that he may change, obviously he's going to have to change out the Gamma, but he's considering putting 2 Gamma and then one Gamma and then 2 of the Trap one, just to kind of try and adapt to the new format. So the Swordsoul lineup is pretty standard, and you'll see at the end, obviously your one card of Emergence is absolutely insane, but it's all about the Swordsoul still being playable, and this is just a spicy engine, because then a lot of people are going to try and stop the Super Heavies. They're going to go, oh, you're playing Super Heavies, let's stop that, and then out of nowhere, you'll just start smacking them with Swordsouls and kind of push from there. So now moving on to the Super Heavy Samurais, which obviously do dominate the deck, but it does also, it's pretty much a fair split, because you've got about a third of the deck is Soul, a third of the deck is Super Heavy, and a third is hand traps. So you just have that ability to kind of play a lot. Then, of course, the Baron one-card combo is the Super Heavy Samurai Motorbike. So obviously this just gives you another way. Rather than open up Long One and a Tenyi, if you open up Bike, you know instantly that this is pretty much your one-card combo in order to get to a Baron, which protects all of your plays going forward. Another one-card combo in the deck is, of course, Wakashi. So if you don't open up Bike, you open up Wakashi. Wakashi is still a great starter that can get you into your your Synchro level 8, but also off of the one-card combo of Wakashi, you're actually able to build up such an impressive board that your opponent, even if they Nibiru you early days, at the point where they can Nibiru you, you're still able to set up your scales. So then the remaining 4 cards in your hand, not to mention that Wakashi is already a tuner coming from the extra deck, is going to be able to summon. So even if your opponent Nibiru you, you go, okay, cool. Activate Scale, Pendulum Summon Wakashi into the extra monster zone, and then Pendulum Summon out my Swordsoul monsters. They can then start triggering, and they then produce even more synchros for me. Then we've got the one odds, so the one scales, the one soul piercer. Through testing this deck build myself, I could consider putting this up a little bit more to 2, if not 3, just because it's one of the ones that it can still be utilized. If you open up Wakashi, you'll see in the combo that the idea is that you get Wakashi back out of the extra deck without putting it into the scale first, and then you use your soul piercer to tribute it off to bring out the scales. So that's how you kind of bypass Scarecrow. One soul piercer, one booster, and then of course you've got the one Benkei. Now obviously with both of these, the idea is that this is just a level 4 extender should you want to make your rank 4 plays, should you want to go into other level 8 synchro plays as well. One thing that the deck does do really, really nicely is it does open up that avenue for you to end your board on stuff like Baron, Regulus, Yugioh, plus another one, whether that be a rank 4, whether that be the ability to get into a Dragite, or even a Borreload Savage Dragon, is absolutely insane. The last 2 cards that I've put in, again, I've kind of adapted this list because he's provided his updates of his list. I wanted to keep some of his stuff secret in case he decides to take that to Euros. But I kind of went with the Tunneler and Box because throughout more and more testing, the issue that the kind of 1-card combo now stumbles upon is it really does struggle to kind of get to where you want it to be. And what I mean by that is it struggles to kind of set up protection without like relying on Sword Souls or more than the others. So it really does give you a nicer option. Yes, these are 2 bricks, but you get additional draw power to get you into Sword Soul cards, to get you into protection cards, to get you into more hand traps. And you've also got the box that can be utilized as another level 4. So that kind of gives you everything you need, and they can be cut if you want to. Then the final one is, of course, Regulus. Now, Regulus is pretty much what it is. In this build, you can, of course, go through the Merrymaker into Sargus and obviously have Zeus, but I've cut those for a link option, again, just to kind of try something different. And you want to be getting Regulus off of your Cleaver Genius, because believe it or not, the new card that everyone is now playing in Super Heavy Samurais in the form of the Tilting Entrainment is actually an Earth Machine, so you can get into Genius, and in doing so, Genius will actually let you search a level 5 or higher machine monster if 2 monsters are summoned to zones it points to. It doesn't need to be machines or anything like that, so if you summon 2 Super Heavies, straight away, you're then going to be able to get into the Regulus. So that's it for the Super Heavy lineup, or technically Earth Machine lineup as well, and as you can see, it's relatively balanced. Moving on to the hand traps, this is where you take out your final third. Now, this will all adapt depending on the local environment and depending on the format. So at the moment, there was main triple Droll, as you saw in his original profile, triple Ash, triple Ogre, and then the adaptions in the space of stuff like Gamma is now 2 Bell and 2 Veiler. Again, like I said, all of these are adaptable. You can change it to whatever you want or whatever you feel your local environment is going to need or you're going to be facing up against. Moving on to the extra deck, you've got a lot of synchros in here, which I think is really, really kind of cool, especially being a fan of synchrons myself. Being able to, again, find a different angle for Sword Souls to play. Even with Denglong now around, it's entirely up to you. If you've got Super Heavy Samurais and you have Sword Soul and you're like, oh, okay, let's try something out a bit spicy, this is an option for you. So as you've got Baron, you've got your Qinglong, you've got your Chen Ying, and they're your 3 main level 10 boss monsters. They're pretty much everything you need. So you've got your aggressor. You've got, I would say it's an aggressor, but it's also an interrupter. Like this one on its own can just do so much. Like this one needs a card to be banished. Whereas this one is just like, okay, your opponent activates a spell, get rid of it. Your opponent special summon a monster, get rid of it. And then Baron is, of course, your protective Omni-Negate. For the 8s, of course, 2 Yugioh. You've got the 1 Axel, because Axel then gets you into your Baron. Ideally as well, it could also get you into your Chen Ying, which is quite funny. And then, of course, you've got the brand new Tilting Entrainment. I say brand new, it's just a card that, unless you're, like, apart from being forced into the position to use it, it's a card that was only really used in Draco Slayers. The idea is that if it is special summoned, you get to special summon a level 4 or lower Pendulum monster from your hand or face up from your extra deck. So that's why you don't put Wakashi using its own effect into the scale. You actually put it to the extra deck and then you summon it off of Entertainment. And then because you've used Soul Piercer to make this, Soul Piercer searches you out the Soul Maker and then you get rid of the Wakashi to then give you Scales. Scales then gives you options for Link 2s or Rank 4s. Then this is what makes it a little bit better as the hybrid, is you've got access to Borreload Savage Dragon. You've obviously got Dragite as well with Draco Berserker, along with a Baxia and a Yazi. And then the final 3 spots is entirely up to you whether you go Link or whether you go XYZ. I've decided to go with Link because obviously we've got Ballista, you've got Yugioh, and then of course you've got Appaloosa. Now the idea is you go Ballista first, you search out Box and Tunneler, then you use the remaining monster on the board plus your Ballista to go into Genius, and then off the back of that, what that's then going to give you is that gives you the option to summon down Box, summon down Tunneler, and the Wakashi that's going to come back from the extra deck for a second time that turn, and that's then going to open up Synchro level 8s, which can be your Yugioh, not to mention if you've opened up something like a Tire or a Moyi, you can then special summon them from the hand during that Pendulum summon. So it's a very kind of cool option. It does give you a couple of different ways to work around it. And then that's kind of just the way that it works really, really nicely, and the bit of synergy. So his top 32 is a little bit different, but of course all the decks he was facing was a little bit different as well. I think if you check out his original profile video on Absolute Duelist, and I'll try and link that in the description below, he talks about how he faced Super Heavy Samurais, like 4 Kashtiras, Pearlies, Dragon Links, you name it. He faced pretty much everything, and because it was such a crazy hybrid of a deck, a lot of people were seeing Super Heavies and was like, oh, you're playing Super Heavies, I know how to stop this. And then out of nowhere there would be a Swordsoul card and you're like, what? I'm not prepared for this. And the only card, annoyingly, that did balance the pair of them was, of course, going to be Droll and Lockbird. So that's it for the main deck and the extra deck. What I'll now do is I'll probably show you the 2-card combo, which is basically direct route to Swordsouls alongside direct route of Super Heavy, so you can see what the Super Heavies can get you, and then how if you just add 1 Swordsoul card to it, you can then build your board up even more. Here is the 2-card combo, which is absolutely insane for the deck and how they synergize together. So it starts off with your 1-card Wakashi and your 1-card Emergence. You're going to hold the Emergence back for now, so you're going to activate the Wakashi, you're going to scale it up, you're going to destroy it to summon itself out, and you're going to scale the Big Benkei. You're then going to use the Big Benkei's effect to search you out the Soul Piercer, and you're going to conduct your normal summon of the Soul Piercer. You then Synchro Summon the Soul Piercer plus the Wakashi together to Synchro Summon out the Entrainment. In doing so, you get to go Chaining 1 Soul Piercer, Chaining 2 Entrainment. Entrainment will summon out the Wakashi, Soul Piercer will search you out Soul Peacemaker. You then equip the Soul Peacemaker to your Wakashi, using its effect to destroy it and the Wakashi to summon out the Scales. Scales will then use its own effect to revive the Soul Piercer. Now, as long as you use any combination of Piercer with Scales or Piercer and Entrainment, you still get the same outcome. So you use Entrainment plus the Piercer in this example to link summon the Ballista. You get to go Chaining 1 Ballista, Chaining 2 Piercer, or vice versa. Off the back of that, you're going to search out your Box, and you're going to search out your Wakashi to complete your Scales. Off of the Box being added, you then get to add the Tunneler as well. You then link your Scales plus the Ballista to get into your Cleafort Genius, and then you're going to activate the Emergence to search you out a Tire. In doing so, you complete your Pendulum Scales with the Wakashi, and you conduct a Pendulum Summon. So one zone that Genius points to will be used by the Wakashi from the extra deck. The other zone, it doesn't matter what is used, just as long as you summon a monster to its zone. So you summon out Tire, you summon out Tunneler, and you summon out Box. Because 2 monsters were summoned to the zone Genius points to, it lets you search out the Furion King Regulus. Now you want to hold the Regulus back for this bit because you need to make sure you've got an empty zone in order to use the token of Tire. So what you want to do here is you want to use Tire's effect. Tire is going to banish the Emergence, and in doing so will spawn the Tire token. However, what you actually want to do is you want to use Emergence to adapt the level of the token to make it a level 5. In doing so, you can use the token plus the Tunneler level 5 in order to get you into a very nice Baron de Fleur. Now, the other thing you need to remember is all of your worm, or most of your good worm extra deck monsters need a non-tuner worm. They don't actually need a tuner. So you can now use the Wakashi plus your Tire to get you into your Yugioh. You can go Chaining 1 Yugioh, Chaining 2 Tire. Now, if you wanted to, before you make this Synchro Summon, you could also summon down the Regulus. Absolutely fine. In doing so, what you're going to do here is you're going to Foolish Burial the Moyi, and the reason you do that is you set up your ability should you want to go to Dragite as well. Off the back of that, you then get the ability to search off the Yugioh for the Blackout. Now, if you want to add an additional Synchro to the board, you actually banish the Blackout rather than adding it to the hand. It depends if you want the pop 1 and 2, or if you want to be able to get another Synchro to the board. For this example, we're going to get another synchro to the board, so we're going to spawn another token. In doing so, you can then synchro the token plus your box together to make another level 8 synchro. This one will be Savage Dragon, because then Savage can equip the Ballista from the graveyard. If that wasn't enough, you then also get the ability to summon down the Regulus by equipping it with the Piercemaker. You can then use the ability of Baron to pop the Soul Piercer, and that will then allow you to search out from the deck any kind of Super Heavy Samurai you want. Now, unfortunately, you do not control a Super Heavy Samurai at the moment. You have no spells and traps in your graveyard because you've cleared them all out. So you can technically go for a bike for a follow-up of the next turn, or you can go for anyone you want to summon. The idea is that if you wanted to save this as well, you could directly go for a Soul Peacemaker or a Soul Piercer, because you'll be recycling them back into the deck with your Tunneler. So let's say we've added the bike. We've then got the ability to use the Tunneler. So we're going to be putting back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Banishing the Tunneler, so that's your exact 5 as well. These all go back to the deck. Tunneler goes back there. Tunneler gets banished. Entrainment goes back to the extra deck, and you draw 2 random cards, and that's your hand. Keeping in mind your opening hand as well would have conducted of an additional 3 cards. You're ending your turn with 6 cards in the hand, a guaranteed Searcher, an Omni Negate off of the Savage Dragon, an Omni Negate off of Regulus, a Monster Negate off of Yugioh, and then an Omni Negate off of Baron. And keeping in mind that any of these 8s become any other 8s, and the Baron could become another level 10 as well. Absolutely insane combo, really, really love it. Think it's a really kind of cool option for the deck as well. I'm not saying it's the best way to play both of these decks. I just feel that it's a very, very fun way. And at the moment, especially with how Mitchell did with it at Nats, it will catch your opponent off guard, because there'll be a lot of stuff you'll do and your opponent will be like, what the heck did I just witness? I thought you were playing Super Heavies. And you're like, yeah, and Swordsoul. How can you handle both? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. If you do have any questions, by all means, please put them in the comments down below. Even myself and possibly even Mitchell will be able to answer them for you. But before we sign this off, massive congratulations to Mitchell, who got top 32 at Nats with a deck like this. This has just been adapted for the current ban list. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.